the entire philosophy of Lord Ram. Most people see Lord Ram as a symbol of goodness, a righteous king, a perfect son, a noble warrior, but they miss the terrifying depth behind his life. Because the philosophy of Ram was never about comfort. It was about responsibility, and responsibility is heavy. Sri Ram's life was not easy. It was sacrifice after sacrifice. He was born a prince, yet spent years in exile, being forced to leave one's home or country as a punishment. He loved deeply, but yet lived through separation. Do you know why? He had power, yet constantly chose restraint, an act of holding back, controlling. And that is what makes his philosophy so dangerous in today's world. Because modern people are taught to chase freedom without a discipline. Ram believed the opposite, because he believed true freedom only comes after mastering yourself. Not your image, not your desires. Yourself. Most people today follow impulse. They say whatever they feel, do whatever they want, and start escaping whenever life becomes painful. But Ram stood for something much harder. Do you know why? Control. Even when life became unfair. Even when emotions became unbearable. Even when destiny itself seemed cruel. No matter how bad it got. And maybe that is why so many people secretly fear becoming like Ram. Because his philosophy demands sacrifice. Not performance, sacrifice, because Ram understood something most people spend their entire lives avoiding. Life does not always reward you for being good. Sometimes you lose anyway. Sometimes you suffer despite doing everything right. And this truth destroys weak minds. Do you know why? Because people expect fairness from existence. Ram never did, and Ram never changed. He accepted suffering without letting it poison his character. That is the core of his philosophy. To take pain, handle pain, without becoming corrupted by it. When Ram was exiled to the forest, he could have resisted. He had the power to fight for the crown, but he chose not to. But he used power, created complete confusion. Instead, he walked away peacefully, not because he was weak, but because he believed inner order matters more than temporary victory. That level of discipline is almost impossible for modern minds to understand, because today people destroy relationships over ego, destroy themselves over anger, destroy peace over pride. Ram believed a person who cannot control their inner world will eventually destroy their outer one too. And this is what separated him from ordinary men. Ram never allowed emotions to become his master. Not rage, not grief, not revenge. Even in war, Ram's philosophy was never based on hatred or dislike. It was based on duty. That distinction changes everything, because hatred blinds people. Duty gives clarity, not chaos. Ram fought Ravana, not simply because Ravana was evil, but because evil grows the moment good people become passive and do nothing. And that message feels terrifyingly relevant today. Most people stay silent against wrong because comfort matters more than courage. Ram believed silence in the face of injustice is its own form of weakness. But his philosophy was not about aggression. It was about balance, strength without cruelty, power without arrogance, authority without corruption. That balance is rare, because most people swing between extremes. They become either too soft to stand for anything, or so consumed by ego that power destroys them. Ram represented controlled strength, the kind that does not need constant validation. And maybe the deepest part of Ram's philosophy is the way he carried suffering quietly. Modern culture glorifies displaying every emotion publicly. Every pain becomes content. Every wound becomes identity. But Ram endured silently, not because he felt nothing, but because he refused to let suffering define him. And that, my friend, that level of emotional stability is disappearing from the modern world. People break mentally from discomfort that previous generations would have endured in silence. Ram's philosophy reminds us that maturity is not the absence of pain. It is the ability to carry pain with dignity. And this is where people misunderstand him the most. They think Ram's life was about perfection. It wasn't, my friend. It was about choosing principles even when those principles hurt. That is far harder. Anyone can stay moral when life is easy. But Ram stayed disciplined when life stripped almost everything from him. And that is why his philosophy feels timeless, because human beings still struggle with the same weaknesses. Desire, anger, ego, attachment, fear. The battlefield only changed form. Today the war exists inside the human mind. Distraction, addiction, comfort obsession, lack of discipline, emotional instability. People want peace without sacrifice, confidence without struggle, respect without character. Ram rejected all of it. He believed character is built precisely through hardship, not around it. And perhaps the most powerful lesson Ram leaves behind is that greatness is not measured by how much power you possess, but by how much power you can control. Because uncontrolled power creates tyrants. Controlled power creates protectors. That is why Ram became more than a king. He became an ideal, not because he lived without pain, but because pain never convinced him to abandon his values. And in the end, the philosophy of Ram is not really about becoming perfect. It is about becoming unshakable, to remain disciplined in chaos, to remain honorable in suffering, to remain calm when life becomes unfair. And to understand this truth, a weak man follows his emotions, but a strong man follows his principles, even when it costs him everything.